So today I want to show you how to make a concept artwork in Photoshop, and I'll show you the end result of this from my website. This is the text tutorial, and if you head over to my website you will see this text tutorial with all the stock images that I used for this. Actually, I will follow this tutorial to make the video version, although I know how I made it, but I want to follow the same steps here. So I will start over again. I'll create a new canvas size. I'm using a smaller canvas size than on the original artwork, but the important thing here is the proportions, because as you can see I'm using a wide canvas instead of a portrait format, and it's a good reason why I do that. The whole idea of this, the concept behind this, is I wanted to illustrate the idea of loneliness and solitude, and that's why I used this wide format, because it enhances the idea of space. And you can see this big space and no one here except this man standing here, and this surreal planet here, which I guess it's the Earth. I don't know exactly what I was thinking about when I made this, but anyways, I was actually inspired by another artwork similar to this, but anyways. So these are the stock images that I used. Again, as on other tutorials, I have the man extracted from the background. This is the original stock image, and I used the pen tool. I traced the path around the man. I turned that path into a selection, and I masked the background, and that's how I extracted the man. I will not do that now. I assume you already know how to extract subjects from the background. So I'll start by opening the desert image. And it's a big file. I'll copy it, close, and paste it on my canvas. I will not turn this into a smart object now. And place it here. So this is the starting point. I will name this background, and I'll delete the original background image. So let's start with step 1. Step 1 is to open the background image, and on step 2 we start cleaning this. What I did is I used the spot healing brush tool, and in order not to affect the original image, I used a non-destructive technique, which consists of making a new layer, name it clean or something like that, and with the spot healing brush tool selected, check sample all layers, and that way you can start removing all these dark spots here that you don't like, and just start painting over them. I'm using a soft brush. The hardness is to about 15%, and the brush size to about 20 pixels, the diameter. And you can adjust the size of the brush, but you don't have to be too precise here. It's not like working on a portrait or something like that. It's just removing the major spots here, and you can do this fairly easy. And it's fairly easy to do that, just quick strokes like that. Remove everything that is not looking good to you. And the reason why I do this is because I want to have this area as clean as possible, because I want the viewer to focus on the man that I will add here and not be distracted by all these spots or these rocks, or I don't know what this is, but I want to remove them. So remove everything that you don't like. Also here on the top part, and also here on the top part, just paint all this area. Okay, I would spend a bit more time here on the bottom, but let's move on. So just clean the area here, and if I disable this, you can see how it looks now. I would also link this just in case I move this layer from by mistake. You can see it really looks nasty if you do that. So you can select both of them and choose right click and select link layers, and that way you cannot move one without moving the other one. Okay, let's go to step 2 and see step 3, sorry. So on step 3, select the background layer and create a new layer under it, and if you press and hold the control key while you press this new layer icon, you can do that, and name this layer night or dark or whatever you want, and set the foreground color to black, and if you press Alt and backspace you will fill that layer with black, as you can see. And once you do that, select these two layers, right click and group them. I don't see the group layers link, but you can press Ctrl G to group it, and you can call this desert. And after you group the layers, create the layer mask for this group. So once you have the layer mask and on the group, on step 4 you see how I made the dark ambient, and for that I used the gradient tool. So select the gradient tool, select the linear gradient, make sure you reset the colors. You can do that if you press the D key on your keyboard. You have to mask all this top part, and you can do that if you click here in the middle, press the shift key and hold it and drag down like that. I want to do it again, so from higher and drag to about here. I want it even smoother, so I'll do it again. Okay, something like that. In order to make the sides dark as well, I use the gradient tool again, but you cannot use the black and white and just do another gradient like this, because it will delete the other one, so to say. So you have to select black to transparent or foreground to transparent and switch this to black, and it changes here as well. And again, use the linear gradient and just click here in the middle, drag to the right. Let me reverse it. Drag to the right and then click here and drag to the left. And that's how I made this spotlight effect. You can add more darkness here if you want, if you zoom out, and let me reverse again. You can add a gradient here to add more darkness on the bottom if you want to. And you can see the layer mask. This is how it looks. Of course, you can refine this with the brush tool if you want to. Use a big soft brush and paint with black, but I prefer to use the gradient tool. It's better, but it's up to you. Once you have this, you can add that planet. So open the planet stock, so copy it and paste it on a new layer on your canvas. Make it smaller if you need to. Depends on the canvas size that you are using. And actually, I'm gonna turn this into a smart object because I don't know, I might want to resize it again and rotate it so that you have the illuminated part facing down. And I'll make it a bit bigger. If you make it bigger, it will have more impact. It's more dramatic, so to say. But if you make it bigger, you have to place it higher here. You don't want to have something like this, it's not looking good. So place it somewhere here, like that, and press enter. And let's see what effects I added to this. I added a photo filter and some outer glow. So I'll name this planet, add some outer glow, and change the color to a white, blue, a cyan. Increase the size, and also increase the range to make a smoother transition, and maybe make it a bit darker like that, and click OK. Leave the blend mode to screen. I think I left it to screen. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but it's on screen, I'm sure. And the next thing I added to this is a photo filter as a clipping mask, of course, and I changed the color of this to a cyan like that, and increase the density. I don't know what density I used, 45%. Well, the density is up to you because it also depends on the color that you're using. Something like that. I don't want to make it too colored, so I'll decrease the density just a bit. So after adding the glow and the photo filter, you can add the stars. You can make this a bit more interesting by adding some stars here on the background. And you can download this stock image from DeviantArt and select the entire canvas, copy it, and go to your night layer and create a new layer above it, and paste that stars layer there, and you can name this stars, make it smaller to fit your canvas size, and just like that, and create a layer mask for it, and use the gradient tool again. Use black to white, and just like you did before, make sure you don't have stars here on the desert, over the desert layer. So create a gradient like that, but use the linear type. Do something like that. Just make sure you don't have stars around there. You can use the brush tool if you want to fine-tune it, and just use a big soft brush like that. And one thing I did to this, I used levels because I didn't like this small dots here, all these points here. I didn't like this kind of noise effect. I just wanted these bigger stars to be visible. So I used levels and increased the midtones, and you can see that the smaller points become darker and darker, and they go away. And you can do this however you like. If you want to have more stars, add less of effect. So it's up to you. That's how I made the stars. So once you get here, you can add your man standing there. So open it with Photoshop. Obviously you would open the original stock image, and the way I extracted this from the background, as I said, is using the pen tool. Trace a path around the man, just like that. Then when you go around it and you come back, and when you get back here, just close the path like that, and with the pen tool still selected, right click and choose make selection, use feather 0, click OK to make that selection, and you would probably have to invert the selection, so you have to go to select, inverse selection, and you can press delete and you get rid of the background, and that's how you extract the man from the background. So I'll select all, copy, I'll close this because I no longer need it, and go on top of all the layers and paste my man here. I'll name this layer man, turn this into a smart object because I'll have to scale it down, and scale it down and make it even smaller. something like that, maybe even smaller, just like that, and maybe even just a bit smaller, something like that. Okay, so let's go back to the text tutorial, and this is on step 7. And you can see I used curves to make the man darker. So, well, you could use levels as well, but let's keep with the text. Let's stick with the text tutorial. So I'll make this as clipping mask first, because I only want to affect the man, and just make it dark like that. Make sure you still see some of the highlights here. Just don't make it completely black like that. It's not looking realistic. Something like that. Okay, so once you have that, duplicate the man layer, and you can rename this to man shadow, because this will be the shadow. I will rasterize the layer because I no longer need the information. So I rasterized the layer, and I'll load the free transform with Ctrl T and flip this layer vertically and drag it down. And what I have to do now is go to image adjustments, hue saturation, or press Ctrl U, and decrease lightness to -100, because I want to make the shadow and I need this to be completely black. So I decrease the lightness to -100 and click OK. And I'll load the free transform again, and I'll zoom in and place the shadows right there. And with the free transform loaded, right click and choose distort. And now you can click on this middle control point and drag the shadows like that. And you can also use perspective, and if you press the Alt key and click on one of these control points, you will affect the other one on the same amount. Not too much though. Go to distort again and make it just. And now you can apply some blur if you want to make it to make this shadow a bit softer. So you can apply a Gaussian blur. Let's see, about 3 pixels of blur. It's too much for my taste. 2.5, and decrease the opacity to about 80%. Let's see on the text tutorial what value did I use. 85%, but anyway, and 3 pixels of blur. So that's how I made the shadow. You can see that on step 8. Maybe I'll increase the shadow to about 85, just like on the text tutorial. The reason why I decreased the opacity is because I want to see some of the texture of the desert. That's my man standing there watching that planet. And that's the whole composition. All I have to do now is add some adjustment layers to create the final color and contrast effects. If you like it like that, you can leave it. If you like it like this, you can leave it like this. It's no problem. But I think I added a gradient map. Yes, I use this default gradient map. So go down here, select gradient map, and use this one. If you don't see the same gradients here, just click this small arrow here and select reset gradients, and you should see it. Click OK, and let's see what blend mode did I use for this. Soft light at 20%. So soft light at 20%, and that creates this kind of an orange look and increases the contrast just a bit. You can add as many effects as you want. You can use solid color and, I don't know, play with blend modes and try other effects. It's just up to you, depending on what you like. So that's how I made this concept artwork. I'll probably make more of them because I like them. So I hope you liked the tutorial, and if you want to see more tutorials, just subscribe. And well, thanks for watching, and see you next time.